My mother and father divorced when I was young. They had an accident baby together after my mom remarried, which rocked that marriage apart. That baby was my little sister. I absolutely adore my sister and I love her so much. She was sweet, kind, and very optimistic about everything. She died abruptly in an accident 4 years ago at only 14. It was tragic. She drowned in while she was with my mom on a vacation. Do you know how people say the firsts after death are the hardest? They don't account for when there's no first to be had. When they should have been getting ready for prom but never will. It's a completely different pain. We decided to have her ashes put in necklaces all of us have. My mom and I were talking about it. We were both drinking. And she slipped that the bit of ashes I carry that I thought were my sister's were just regular ashes. Burnt wood. She already poured out my sister's ashes without me or my brother in the plot she bought with my stepdad. She couldn't fathom my rage because to her, the sentiment and emotions are the important aspects, not that it's physically my sister. My anger is prompted by the lies and the fact those sentiments and emotions are attached to something not my little sister, and I had no idea she cast her ashes on a plot she wouldn't have cared about. I screamed at her to get out of my house, locking the door behind her and calling up my stepdad to pick her up. I threw the necklace out the window to the front lawn, then regretted it and tore it out of her hands when she picked it up. As she would say it, I made a scene and embarrassed her. I kept screaming and calling her a liar whenever she tried to explain herself or get back inside. I was threatening to call the cops on her when my stepdad finally showed up and took her away. He called me the next day and left a message saying that he wanted to talk about what happened and how he understands why I'm angry and hurt. He just wants to talk. But I need to talk to my mother too about this because she's a grieving mother and my sister's death was a huge blow to the entire family and everyone is trying to regain our bearings still, so some kindness is needed. All I can think of right now is my mom's heartbroken face as I ripped my necklace with my sister's ashes out of her hands, or the way she turned away from me crying as my stepdad ushered her into the car. I called her names. I let my pain and rage take over me, but I can't get over the lies. 4 years of thinking my necklace had my sister, of thinking she was right by my heart, and it all came undone because my mom had too much to drink. Update: I gave my mother an ultimatum of either telling my brother and father, or I will. She refused to, because I reacted so horribly, and she told me not to tell because you're doing this to hurt me and you're just going to hurt them. So I told them. I sat my dad and brother down and explained that the necklaces didn't have the right ashes in them. I've never seen my dad break like that, and I've never heard my brother scream at me like that. He was angry that I knew before him and didn't immediately tell because, this is poop, you tell me, you needed to tell me, we tell each other everything. But he started crying and apologizing to me, admitting he's just so mad about what mom did and he can't handle it. So I guess that's something else me and my brother share. We get overwhelmed initially before cooler heads prevail. My dad looked gutted but he was trying to piece himself back together. He held my brother and me as we cried, and he apologized for the pain. He said it wasn't fair that I had to be the adult when my mother should have told all of us a lot sooner. Dad's going to try to talk to my stepfather to find the plot because my mom has been refusing to talk to us anymore, not answering messages or picking up the phone. Her social media has even gone dark. He's going to find out where the plot is and go to the site. I don't know if I could if it were up to me. It just feels like the final bit of proof that this fucked up nightmare is real and my sister is mixed with dirt and rocks and grass of an unmaintained and unvisited plot. To top it off, she won't even show the decency to explain why or even talk to me. When we were discussing cremation, it was agreed we would all get a necklace with the ashes. My mind keeps going over things that just didn't add up fully, times she almost slipped or things that make complete sense now. She almost left behind her necklace on a trip and didn't freak out like I would have, because she knew where my sister was the whole time. She volunteered to be the one to separate the ashes and gave Dad the rest. I assume those ashes are the same as ours. Fake. God, this whole thing just makes me want to curl up in a hole and never see the light of day again. I've been on and off crying all week without being able to stop, or just so angry I could scream. In the middle of my damn workday and suddenly I'm rushing to the bathroom to hide the fact I'm breaking all over again because I can't stop my thoughts. I quit smoking after my sister died but I picked it right back up again. My dad has been calling me every day to check in on me and remind me of how much he loves me and how much my brother loves me. I think he's afraid. My brother has come over each day since the talk with his girlfriend to make sure I eat something. I don't know how to end this post. I feel lost and like I don't know anything anymore. I feel like a burden because my dad and brother are both dealing with the revelation too, but they're clearly thinking of me and checking in on me. I'm going to look into grief counseling, but the therapist I saw after my sister died isn't practicing anymore and my insurance isn't accepted by a lot of therapists. I try to remind myself that my little sister wouldn't have minded so much becoming woven into a tapestry of grass and flowers and that I can visit her once we know where she was cast and make sure her sight is always beautiful.
My unhinged friend told my boyfriend that we were having an affair and my boyfriend doesn't believe me. Now, he's begging for another chance after I sent him the evidence of my innocence. I've been with my boyfriend, Paul, for 3 years. In the beginning of our relationship, Paul had some issues with trust. He had been cheated on in the past. I made it clear right away that I had never cheated on anyone, that I would not, and that I understood if he had trust issues from the past but that it was a deal breaker to me to be with someone who couldn't trust me. He has, since those early days, been really good about it and throughout our 3 years together, I think I have earned his trust. I have always been honest with him and never cheated on him. He's asked to see conversations of mine that I've had with male friends twice over those 3 years, and I've obliged. The second time, however, I made it clear to him that I was very unhappy to be treated as though I was acting suspiciously and did not deserve privacy with my friends when he had no reason at all to think I was being shady. I said that if he didn't trust me because of something I had said or done, I was 100% happy to have a conversation about that, to discuss it, and to address any issues he had, but if I had done literally nothing to cause suspicion then I expected him to trust me. He agreed with me, said that I had done nothing, and never asked again. Once of those conversations he asked about was with my friend Roger. Roger had, 2 years before I started dating Paul, confessed feelings of love for me. I told him I wasn't interested, and that was that. By the time I was seeing Paul, I had absolutely no reason to think things were anything but platonic between Roger and myself. A week ago, Roger and I got together for coffee. Again, I want to stress that before this happened I had literally no reason at all to think he had held on to those feelings. At the cafe, Roger suddenly went on this impassioned monologue about how much he still loved me, how Paul was a terrible boyfriend and I should dump him and be with Roger, how loyal Roger was, how perfect we were together. I was pretty much silent through this whole speech because I was so surprised and uncomfortable, but when he stopped I told him that I loved Paul, that I was absolutely not leaving Paul, and that I needed to go home immediately. I was shaken up by the whole thing so I took my time getting home to calm down. But, by the time I got home, I found that Roger had sent a long, utterly insane FB message to Paul detailing how much he loved me, that we were destined to be together, and heavily implying, but not outright stating, that Roger and I had been carrying on an affair for weeks. I don't know why he did this. I have no explanation. Paul believes it completely. He has listened to my explanation of things, but thinks I am lying. He doesn't want to see me or talk to me at all anymore. I'm completely devastated that Paul would believe this FB message over me. I'm horrified that my relationship with him has ended like this. I'm embarrassed that now I'm being seen as a cheater and a SLT who slept around on Paul. I'm utterly hateful toward Roger. It's been a week and I can't convince Paul to talk to me. I know he had those trust issues in the past but I really believed we were long past them. Update. When I was a little calmer I FB messaged Roger asking him why he lied. He responded with "What do you mean?" at which point I started pressing him harder. He responded only with one-word answers, and honestly didn't reply to most of my messages at all, no matter how much I asked, and never actually said any definitive statement of yes I lied for such and such reason. Finally, I sent him a definitive statement that said I had never had an affair with him, that I was incredibly hurt and angry, that our friendship was over and that he was never to contact me again. He replied okay and that was that. I sent the entire FB conversation to Paul, not thinking it would help save us but just to try and clear my name. In the message, I asked him if Roger's reactions to my questions and my response to Roger was in line with what he would expect if Roger's accusations were true. Paul didn't respond that day, but the next day he called me. Paul basically said that the more he thought about it, the more he believed me, and that the conversation between Roger and I helped him believe that Roger's responses didn't make sense and that he now thought nothing had gone on. Paul called me the next day and begged me to come back, admitting that he had rushed to judgment and that he believed me now, especially after seeing the bizarre responses from Roger. He apologized profusely for not trusting me and for letting his past insecurities cloud his judgment. He pleaded for another chance, promising to work on rebuilding trust and never doubting me again. But despite his pleas and apologies, I couldn't shake off the hurt and betrayal I felt from Paul's initial reaction to the false accusations. I realized that trust was a fundamental aspect of any relationship, and Paul's immediate belief in Roger's lies had shattered that trust for me. Despite his change of heart, I couldn't bring myself to go back to someone who had doubted me so easily. My entitled brother thinks he is bailing us out for paying rent and refused to pay his bills. So, my mother snapped and put him through 5 stages of grief. Brother has been mooching off of my mom and I. She and I co-own our house, since 2017. He lived rent-free for 4 years. Finally, my mom managed to force him to pay his form of rent by paying some utility bills, a total of about $450 a month, since 2021. He has never paid his bills willingly. Every month he demands to know why he has to pay the amount and demands proof of the cost, as if my mom was trying to swindle him for some reason. And every time he has finally given us the money for the bills, he has told us he was bailing us out since we must be broke. Why else would we be making him pay for us? Recently, he has been going off about how he can't wait to leave the house and he wants to save his money to move out but he simply can't with the cost of all these bills weighing him down. My mother told him since he is so serious about moving out, she will gladly pay for his portion of the bills. She works seasonally, and all he would need to pay was his car insurance. She said she would give him until May 31st to save up as much as he could. He would then need to move out. Since that agreement was made, entitled brother has gone on 2 trips out of state. One was a 4-day bachelor party in New Orleans, has gone to poker nights with his friends multiple times, refuses to so much as wash a dish, and leaves a greasy mess wherever he goes in the house. Meanwhile, my mom has worked 6 days a week to make enough money to cover his expenses. And yet, entitled bro hasn't thanked her once. Every time she asks him to do the simplest task, he ignores her or claims he forgot despite how often she reminds him. Today, she finally snapped. His one bill that he's responsible for was due 4 days ago and he never paid her. She texted him and reminded him verbally many times. She asked via text one last time today and he finally responded by asking her to give him a receipt so she can prove his insurance cost what she claimed it cost, and he never sent the money. She lost it and said she is sick of catering to him without so much as a thank you. She said she wants peace and he is no longer worth the trouble she goes through. She said she is removing him from the car insurance tomorrow and that he no longer has until the end of May to move out because now he is 3 weeks. That's it. She's threatened to kick him out before, and hasn't gone through with it yet, but this time felt different because I have never seen her go nuclear like that before, and entitled bro must have felt that same way because he went through the 5 stages of grief about 100 times during that fight. He screamed, cried, accused, name-called, tried to pull me in to defend him, tried to pull in his dad to defend him, tried to call my mom's sisters to defend him, claimed getting his own insurance was an emotional burden, claims she needs professional help because she is obviously out of her mind, said that she obviously doesn't care about him. Otherwise, why would she so cruelly deprive him of such valuable resources? He went on and on for 3 hours, and she didn't budge. I don't want to get my hopes up that she'll stick to that 3-week deadline, but this is the closest she's come to evicting him. I hope this will scare him into leaving before she has to.